So have you ever looked at a certain stock chart and said to yourself, anong nangyayari dito? Tumataas at bumababa yung presyo pero hindi ko maintindihan. Dapat ba bumibili na ako or dapat ba maghintay pa ako? So yun yung mga sasagutin natin in this lesson because there are classical chart patterns that we can observe in the stock charts, in the financial charts that can give us a hint on where prices could move next. So yun yung i-discuss sa atin ni Paulo Tomacruz and he will be going deeper within the subject to understand the supply and demand mechanics that makes these patterns work for us. So that's it. Let's start this lesson.
Alright, what's up everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening kung nasan ka man sa mundo nunod ngayon. So I say that kasi maraming OFWs, right, na kasama sa InvestaUniversity. So hello to everybody watching. Thank you to my fellow educator for giving that wonderful intro. So welcome to InvestaUniversity. This is Technical Analysis Class 3 Lesson 2. And as you guys already know, as mentioned in the intro, excuse me, in this week's lesson, we're going to be talking about this. So we're going to be talking about understanding chart patterns in the stock market. So again, guys, I just want to set expectation to everyone. Now, when I was making these slides, it probably took me around, I made it for 2 days. It took me around, siguro total of 10 hours or 8 to 10. Sure, di ko maalala eh. Siguro 7 to 10, somewhere in that range. Kasi, again, set expectation. We're talking about chart patterns. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of chart examples here. And yun, it's going to be a very, example-heavy discussion today. But it's also very important that we focus on that, not mga textbook examples. But so again, it might be a long lesson. I might drink some water. I might cough a little bit, right? So please excuse me for that. I hope it's okay with everyone. So if you guys watched the previous lesson, right, yung basic technical analysis with me and Joanne, where we discussed what is technical analysis, how do you understand candlesticks, what are the types of trends, how do you understand the chart itself, basically the price structure, price action, support, resistance, trend lines, breakouts and breakdowns, role reversals, etc. So if you haven't watched that video, I highly suggest you watch that first, diba, prior to watching this. But if you already have some basic knowledge on technical analysis, especially on the topics I just mentioned, you're free to continue with this lesson. So okay, without further ado, let's get to it. Before I go to chart patterns, of course, I want to show you guys something. First, I want to talk about a few candlestick patterns, diba? So, but there's actually only one slide. Diba? Bakit one slide lang pinapakita ko rito? So, at least for the newbies, you guys can take a look at it. Pwede nyo i-search online, diba? Candlestick cheat sheet patterns. But so when I was starting out, obviously, and a lot of us, when we were starting out, syempre si-search natin lahat ng pwedeng pag-aralan. And one of the things sa lumabas, talagang itong candlestick patterns. Akala ko, kailangan talaga malaman itong mga, syempre, hammer. Pero yung mga nakakatawang pangalan, yung mga spinning top, or marubozu, or yung mga piercing line, tweezer bottom, 3-line strike, 3 white shoulders, bullish abandon baby, right? So, noong una akala ko, I just want to let you guys know, noong una akala ko, kailangan natin to i-memorize. But when as the longer I've been in the market, I realized that hindi naman natin kailangan siya i-memorize, but more we need to familiarize ourselves. So we're going to see it, if you're trading, with candlesticks, we're going to be staring at this all the time. So you might at least know a few. Diba? Of course, alaman natin mga basic, right? Yung mga bullish engulfing, hammer, bearish engulfing, harami, ganyan. But just it's nice. Watch this part again. Take a look. Pause nyo to pag sa YouTube replay na. Take a look at some of the usual patterns we can see over here. We have the bullish patterns. We have the neutral patterns over here, mostly the dojis. And then here we have our bearish patterns. So, it's not really that big of a deal. Of course, it's important to know pa rin, but it won't make or break your trading. It can help you, if you're trying to maybe buy a bottom, for reversal. It helps to know that there's a hammer, a candlestick coming up. Or maybe if you're trying to, it's maybe if a stock reaches your take profit, something. Javi always tells me, our partner in Open Journal, na not just Javi, Matt also tells us na you have to wait before you commit to the market, you have to wait for the market to commit to you. So yun, let's say umabot sa TP mo, antayin mo muna mag-confirm na maging rejection candle, maging shooting star, ganyan, or gravestone doji, something like that, or magka-bearish engulfing. So there's a few things we might need to know. But the main, ano lang yan, appetizer, but the main course for this week's lesson, of course, is the classical technical chart patterns, that have been around in the market for decades, maybe even centuries, right? So before we go on, I want to give you guys some tips when looking at patterns. Right? First, pattern recognition is key. Diba? Ay, we're looking at patterns, so kailangan trained yung mata natin. So you have to put in the reps. It's just like you can read parang ano lang yan. You have to get muscles, you have to work out. You have to do your push-ups, you have to do your bench presses and your dumbbell, your bicep curls, as Renzo always likes to tell me. And you have to put in the work. You can't look at the pattern 10 times and say, okay, gets ko na to. I mean, yeah, you may know what it looks like, but do you understand the supply and demand dynamics at hand? If I show you 100 charts, will you be able to identify the patterns in 3 to 5 seconds? So kailangan pagkatingin pa lang natin sa chart, kita natin, okay, kita ko na kung ano yung pattern pino-form. Kita ko na kung okay, it's an uptrend continuation pattern. I'm seeing a cup with handle, volatility contraction on the right side. So stuff like that. Kailangan, and the only way to be good at pattern recognition is we have to do our charts every day, or at least every other day if we're busy, and just put in the work, especially in the weekends. And then patterns, of course, second, patterns take time to form. So we need patience. Yung patterns, di yan mag-form, especially if you're watching stock. The patterns won't form, kung swerte ka, maybe 5 days, a week. But most of the patterns take weeks and months to form before the proper buy point comes in. And then not all patterns materialize. Minsan olats, diba? Sometimes we wait for a stock na, ito na, this is the pattern I've been waiting for, the golden whatever. Tapos yun, pagka buy signal, nabili mo sa high, tapos sinalpak na, bumagsak. So that happens. Again, nothing is ever sure in the market, right? Any investment can turn into a loss. So we always have to have risk management in play. And not all patterns are textbook perfect. Diba? Hindi mo ma-measure yan na sobrang textbook. Minsan, there are some nuances to it. Right? But if they look the same, then, and the supply and the volume mechanics are there, di good yun. Right? So, let's go. So, in technical patterns, there's really, and, kudos to my teammate Barrio, I learned this from him. Right? When I was in the Phoenix program back about 2 years ago. So, there's really 3 types of patterns we're looking at. Right? We're looking at continuation patterns, we're looking at reversal patterns, we're looking at neutral patterns. And the first thing I'm going to be talking about is reversal patterns. But just a hint, just as a word of caution, just like in the candlestick patterns, hindi po tayo magme-memorize. I'm going to be giving quite a few names, quite a few patterns, the mainstream patterns. But the one thing I don't want anyone to do is to memorize it eventually, ako memorize ko na because I see it all the time. And I highlight it on my charts. But hindi ko siya minemorize sa kakabasa ng textbook tas ganto memorize ko. So ano nga ba yun? Inverted head and shoulders, blah 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 blah. Hindi. Na-memorize ko siya because I charted it and I've seen it in probably the hundreds or thousands of charts I've charted throughout the 2 years I've been in the market. And then it's more of understanding than memorizing. Understanding bakit nga ba nag-form to? Bakit nga to bullish na pattern? Bakit nga ba to bearish na pattern? Bakit nung time na to hindi tumuloy? But mas mataas yung probability na gumana siya kapag ganitong market environment. We have to understand more than memorize. So without further ado, let's first take a look at some reversal patterns. So of course, there are bullish reversal patterns, right? So when a stock is in a downtrend, we have a bullish reversal pattern that can put it in a potential uptrend. And we have bearish reversal patterns o yung mga topping patterns. Pagka uptrend yung stock, nagka-bearish pattern, tapos which may lead to a potential downtrend. So here's a few that I'm going to be discussing today. Now first, let's talk about the inverse head and shoulders. Let's start with the bullish reversal patterns. So here's a chart of PNB, diba? Naked chart. So in the eye of someone who did their homework, may kita mo na kaagad yung pattern. The pattern here, well, na-spoil na, is inverse head and shoulders dun sa right side. If we zoom in, eto na, we can actually see it. So an inverse head and shoulders, for those who don't know, looks like this. Diba, over here, we have a left, so parang tao lang siya na baliktad, something like that. We have a left shoulder here, we have the head, and then we have the right shoulder. And then, yung resistance, we call that the neckline. So how do you trade, diba, yung mga inverse head and shoulders? So this is a bottoming out pattern, right? So a stock is coming from a downtrend, creates a sideways trend at the bottom, and then forms this. And then yun, how do we trade it? We can buy the breakout. Diba, alam natin yung breakout is a break of resistance from the neckline. And of course, we want to see above, a good amount of volume coming in. So So yun, after the breakout kay PNB, ayun, napakalakas. After the breakout from the inverse head and shoulders, there was a 37% move in about 2 to 3 weeks. And then ito, a term I want to teach you guys that I learned from the books of Mark Minervini. It's what we call tennis ball action. Or allowing the stock to go through a normal correction or a normal pullback. Again, stocks don't go up in a straight line. They need, minsan kailangan magpahinga, minsan kailangan mag-pullback. Sometimes kasi bumuli tayo dito sa breakout ng inverse head and shoulders, tapos mga ganito moves na i-shake out tayo, meaning napapabenta tayo kasi natakot tayo. Right? But you have to understand that these types of moves, corrections, as long as it doesn't go back inside the pattern or inside the base, it's actually a normal correction. As long as, syempre, hindi na siya, ano pa lang siya parang up ka pa lang, 8%, 10%, tas nag-pull back, yung gains mo, naging 3%. That's normal. That happens, right? So, the strong stocks are those who are tennis balls. You want to keep the tennis balls, yung nagbabounce ka agad, like here, in the case of PNB, which was supported by heavy volume, and you want to throw away the eggs. Yung mga pagkabagsak, boom, basag ka agad. Yun yung mga gusto natin i-avoid, right? Or ibenta ka agad if we have those in our portfolios. So that's an example of inverse head and shoulders. Let me give you another example. Nakikita nyo ba yung chart? Of course, nakikita nyo. Nakikita nyo ba yung pattern? So, ako nakikita ko. Because personally, I was able to trade this a while back. So, lalagay ko na yung marks. If we look here, we have the left shoulder here, we have the head here, and then we have the right shoulder here. Diba? And then we have the neckline over here. And then how do we trade again inverse head and shoulders, right? You trade it, diba, by buying the breakout of the neckline. Of course, you can trade, diba? Yung mga moves ito, mga bounce plays, or pwede ka mag-accumulate sa right shoulder. But the bigger move usually happens after, right? The breakout of the pattern. And once it broke out, we see above average volume for the next couple of days coming and showing na okay, potentially baka mag-strong, if it doesn't go to an uptrend after this, potentially there's a strong counter trend move, meaning magka-strong na up move bago tumuloy pababa. Diba? So yeah, we have a breakout over here. And then yun, as we see here, yan, nag-plot ako ng trend line dito. We see 1, as learned sa lesson 1, we have 1, 2, and yan, nag-bounce siya sa trend line natin 3 times. Diba? Opportunities for entry if you're late, or opportunities for you to see if the stock you're holding, in this case all HC, shows tennis ball characteristics rather than being planted like an egg. So it went up 34%, diba, after that breakout point, after a month. So very decent gain. Okay, here's another one. This is a very recent example. Diba? So APX, nakikita nyo ba kung saan yung pattern dito? Diba? If I zoom in, ito siya. Alright, so we have an inverse head and shoulders again for APX, showing a potentially nagbo-bottom out siya. Diba? So again, we have the left shoulder here, we have the head here, and we have the right shoulder here. And then over here, we have the neckline. And then yun, when it broke out, ito yung buy signal natin. And not only did it break the neckline, it broke the psychological level na isang piso. Remember, whole numbers, mga psych levels yan na very strong levels. Pag nabasag, potential malakas yung move. And then it's also supported by volume. Right, so guys, sige, mamaya, discuss ko pa more. And then, alright. Actually, discuss ko na lang ngayon. So, alam ko, maybe some of you may know what volume is, and some of you may not know what it is. I'll be talking more about volume a little bit in this lesson, but really in the next TA lesson, where we're going to be talking about some indicators, I will dwell really deep into, the concept of volume. But in this case, basta tandaan nyo, which I will say again later, kapag breakout, gusto natin maraming volume, because that means maraming demand, diba? So, after the breakout on above average volume, we can say it's above, kita nyo ito, blue na parang tubig. Yan yung, a 20-day average of volume. So, as long as the volume bar is above that blue area, we can say na above average of volume, or it's a good amount. Better than usual, diba? And on the upside, yun yung gusto natin, above average volume. Now, let's say, gusto mong gawa ng trade plan, paano mo gagawin? Siyempre, pa-plot natin yung cut loss natin, pa-plot natin yung take profit natin. So, if bibili ka sa piso, I will put my cut somewhere at 0.95, diba? Somewhere below this area, right? 0.95. And then, saan ka mag-take profit? Again, what did I teach in the first lesson? Hindi mo makikita saan ka pwede mag-TP dito, mag-zoom out ka. Tiga mo, saan yung mga structural resistances or mga dating support level that can act as a resistance now kasi nagka-S na or flip. In this case, it's at 140 and 150 area. And if we fast forward, we see here after the breakout, we have a retest. Like I said in class 1, we have a retest. Diba? Another buying opportunity, or now we can call it tennis ball action kasi nag-rebound siya kaagad. And then nauntog sa initial resistance natin. Diba? So pwede tayo magbenta dyan. That's a 40% gain. And then, nag-pull back na naman. Again, this is normal profit taking. As long as mag-bounce back, we call that tennis ball action, di ba? So, nag-bounce back, tumama second TP natin, 53% upside. So, of course, it still went higher. Diba? Di naman tayo genius but we just plotted it based on technical parameters na so okay naman. So, yun. Umangat pa siya, but if we follow their plan, solid yan. So now, as I said, yung mga, syempre pinakita ko mga setups na gumana, diba? But actually, not all technical patterns work, diba? Of course, it's a game of chance, right? Hindi siya 100%. I remember this kasi it was a very memorable moment sa PSEI last year na parang, ito, inverse head and shoulders, tapos ayun, nag-breakout. Nag-breakout, so from downtrend, nag-sideways, ito na, potential mag-uptrend na. Ano nangyari? Nag-breakout na yan na, nag-tweet na yung mga tao, bull market na daw, ito na, bilhin natin lahat ng breakout. And then, syempre ako, masaya din ako kasi ito na yun solid candle, bullish engulfing, diba, volume, not the best, but a little bit above the average level, 8.3 na tayo, malapit na sa 9,000, then what happened after that? Ayun, nabate. Yan, binabati nyo kasi, yun, then that just delayed the inevitable when eventually you went through, a market crash, right? So, again, not all setups work. So, of course, I just don't want to show you guys, di ba, yung pattern na, okay, ito yung tsura niya pag nakita yung trade nyo. Of course, I want to share with you guys yung logic natin behind all of this. So, the logic behind an inverse head and shoulders pattern, bakit siya bullish reversal pattern, is because a downtrending stock makes its first higher low sa right shoulder. Diba? Let me show you guys. So, diba, meron tayong, ito, si APX. Downtrend siya. Diba? It's downtrending, and to classify a downtrend, it's something that makes lower highs and lower lows. So, lower high meaning ito, yung high na dati 2 pesos, sa lower high siya 190, nag-lower high 160, nag-lower high 140, nag-lower high 110. That's what we call lower highs. And lower lows is just when the stock keeps breaking down. Low niya dati 150, tapos naging 140, naging 120, naging piso, naging 60 cents. Lower low. So, an inverse head and shoulders marks the first higher low. Meaning, it's a potentially, baka at least mag-uptrend for a while. Kasi kapag uptrend, we're talking about higher highs and higher lows. So, if we zoom in here, diba ito, nag-lower low, but kasi kapag matutuloy lang to sa downtrend, yung mangyayari dito, aangat, tapos babagsak ulit. But what happened was, because there was demand for the stock and because there were, institutional people supporting it, right, di na siya nag-lower low ulit, di na siya below 0.50. Nag-higher low siya sa right shoulder. So that's what I'm talking about. And then nag-break out. Going back to the other examples, ito, di ba? Low, low, and then lower low sa head, and then nag-higher low sa right shoulder. Diba? Same thing with the PNB example. Ito, downtrend, low, lower low, and then sa right shoulder, ito na nag-higher low na siya. Diba? So that's the logic. Bakit siya bullish reversal pattern? Right? So same lang actually dito sa PSEI. Ito, nag-recover, pero bumagsak. Ito, diba, high. Ito yung high, low, lower high, hindi siya umabot, lower low, tapos, yun, akala natin babagsak, pero nag-recover, nag-higher low siya, tapos nag-breakout. Pero yun nga, hindi gumana. So, that's the logic of the inverse head and shoulders. And then, we have next is the double bottom. So, the double bottom is basically, there's really two ways, diba? You can trade it. But so, double bottom basically means, say, you look at a stock like VLL, diba? And you wanna buy it at support, you wanna go for a quick bounce play. What do? You find the support level, and that's the previous low. And if nag-bounce doon, we can say that's a legit double bottom. So, twice niya tinest. So, ito, first, second test, di ba? So, kasi, nung nag-crash, di naman natin ito mako-consider support, nag-recover, pero mukhang babagsak ulit. So, ito na yung support level niya. So, as you can see, medyo nag-stabilize doon. So, if you trade this, binili mo, let's say, sa may 3, saan ka mag-cut? Cut ka dito sa low na to. Right? Ito yung cut loss mo. Diba? Saan ka magta-take profit? Di syempre, sa previous high. So, there's really two ways to trade double bottoms. And the first way is to yung mga quick bounce plays. And I'll show you the next way later. So, this is how a lot of people traded. So, yan. You can see, found support, nag-double bottom, nag-bounce. And as you can see, maganda yung risk-reward natin sa trade na to. Yung risk natin dito was only 6%, while the potential profit was 35%. So, guys, ang risk-reward natin dito was, saan nakasulat? Close P&L quantity. So, kung 6%, parang 1:5 ata to. Tama ba? 1:5. 1:5, 1:6, something like that. Tama ba? Ay, let's say 1:5. But yung important is, guys, when we're talking about risk reward kasi, what we don't want to do is risk 1:1. When you say 1:1, you're risking, let's say, 5% for a 5% gain lang. You want to make at least 1:2 minimum. Meaning, if you risk 5%, you want to make at least 10%. You want to have a potential reward higher than your risk. Diba? Mas pangit if you're risking 10% for a potential 3% gain. Yun yung wag natin talagang gagawin. But yung mga ganitong trades, ito yung maganda. You're risking 6% for a potential 30% gain. Parang 1:5 yun. That's how we can trade. That's one way we can trade double bottoms through as a quick bounce play. And then here, show you another example. Let's say you wanna try mo to as ng bounce play. Saan mo kaya pwede saluhin? Saan yung level? So dito tayo. Diba, sa previous low as a potential support level. Tapos saan ka nag-stabilize. So let's say bumuli tayo sa dos. Cut natin below 1.94. Ganun. Saan ka mag-take profit? Siyempre, kung bounce player ka, kailangan yung TP mo pang bounce lang. So dapat sa previous resistance. So at this point, 2.75. And as we can see yun, nag-bounce siya. 38%. Yan, nag-double bottom, di ba? Low, tas umakyat, tas nag-crash, tas nag-double bottom sa dating low, found support, nag-bounce, 38% bounce on sa resistance natin. But so, that's one way you can trade it. But again, let me give you another example. Same thing. We see VUL here. We want to try and get it at a double bottom at 0.83, 0.85 cents. What happened? Ayun, wala, naulat. So, failed, double bottom bounce. So, again, hindi lahat sure ball. Diba? And, so syempre, if titry natin i-trade to, tas naulat, nag-breakdown, like I said sa class 1, if we see a stock breaking down, we want to avoid. If a stock in our portfolio is breaking down, we might want to cut it, we might want to protect our capital and manage our risk. So, nung nag-fail, ayun, it went down 43% in about a week. Diba? So, that's the importance of having risk management. So, now, what's another way, diba, we can trade yung mga double bottoms? Diba? So, as you can see here, we have a double bottom here. And guys, there's something I want to note. Hindi kailangan eksakto. Diba? As you can see here, nag-breakdown siya. Pero what did it do after it broke down? Nag-recover siya after a few days. Ang tawag dito, guys, shakeout. Meaning, yung mga, yung mga weak hands, yung mga takot na pera, diba? Napapakatlos dyan. Diba? Tapos, nag-change ng hands to the stronger holders. But of course, guys, it's okay to be weak hands sometimes, so na mag-cut tayo. Kasi malay natin, biglang mag-breakdown, diba? But parang yun lang yung concept at tinatawag. It's transferring of shares from the weak hands to the stronger hands. But that doesn't matter. But so what's important is, syempre, pag nag-breakdown, tumama sa cut mo, cut ka. Pero let's say, nasa watchlist mo lang. Sabi mo, ay, potential double bounce. Nag-breakdown. Tatanggalin mo ba sa watchlist mo kaagad? Hindi. Bakit? Kasi baka mag-recover. Shakeouts like this, tawag dito shakeout. Shakeouts are actually good. Kasi nga, kung malakas talaga yung stock, mag-recover yan kaagad. So, yung mga weak holders, wala na, napakat. So, mga institutional holders sa potentially nandito. Diba? Kasi nasuportahan yung stock. So, nag-recover siya, diba? Piso, ano nangyari? Diba? It went, as we already know, diba? Umangat siya. Ito yung next chart, diba? So, again, one way to trade it is to try to get the bounce of support. But there's actually another way to trade it. Diba? Kasi when we try to trade double bottoms by buying, the bounce, diba? Minsan, hindi siya, pang quickie move lang siya. Diba? Napakita ko examples malakas na bounce 30%, 38%. Pero minsan may mga bounce, 5%, 12%, 8%, 15%, 20%. Right? But, the other way to trade double bottoms is actually by thinking of it in a bigger picture perspective. Diba? And yung buy signal natin, if you're trading it, sige, quick bounce pwede nga yan. But if you're trading it, kasi you believe na potentially, right, this can be, diba, sideways. Tapos magbo-bottom out siya. Bullish reversal pattern eh. If you believe na potentially it can be a start of a new uptrend, there's no need to buy the pinaka low. You can buy the neckline. Yung double bottom, may neckline din yan. Itong resistance na to. Here. Tapos, as we see, it broke out. Tas yun, nag-26% in about 3 weeks. Right? And as you can see here, diba, nauntog siya sa dating resistance. So, good trade yan. Ito, I think this is a better example. So, here's IRC. And a new trader, baka di niya kagad makita yung pattern. But actually, there's a double bottom here. Diba? Please excuse the drawing, no? Ito yung neckline, ito yung double bottom. Kasi nga, nag-shake out siya. We like to see that para ma-shake out yung mga weak hands, right? And ito, gagandahan ko na lang yung drawing ko. Para yan. So we have a double bottom here. Yan, nag-shake out, tas bumawi kagad, nag-recover. The fact na nag-recover means na malakas yung stock. Diba? So if you're just simply, trading for the bounce, you would have bought at 0.70 and sold it at 0.80. Right? Yung basic na double bottom bounce. But if you believe that there's a potential bigger move, you can wait for the break of the downtrend line. As we can see, if we alam natin umabot to ng 2.50 pesos, but after the breakout of this double bottom, after the break of the neckline, it went up really big from below piso to 170. I think more than 100% yan. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, diba? Let's focus muna on how would we execute this. Diba? So of course, you want to buy the breakout. Diba? So let's say yan, bumili tayo sa kandila to, end of day 0.81. Where would we put our cut loss? We put our cut loss, pwedeng since penny stock siya, we have to kailangan mas tight yung cut natin minsan. So we want to put our cut kapag nag-below 0.77, the low of the breakout candle. So 5% risk natin. Diba? And it's all the breakout, of course, all supported by above average volume. So solid yan. So now where would we take profit? Diba? So we would take profit. Again, we know na umabot to 170. But that's with the benefit of hindsight na. But at the time, 'di ba? Pag umabot to from 80 cents to 150, malaki na 'yun eh. Right? So how do we plot yung resistances? Again, zoom out tayo and let's look at previous structures that act as significant levels that can act as resistances. So as you can see here, one is dito sa mga sa mga piso levels. So again, piso psych levels yan. As we can see dito, it had a hard time breaking that. Eventually, it broke that level, but first, it had a difficult time. So, we could have sold, diba? Half of our position. Again, guys, pag TP, we don't have to sell everything. Pwede sell half muna. We could have sold half here at 1 peso, 25% gain. And then, another half dito sa resistance na to. Right? Sa mga 120. Nag-overshoot, pero eventually, bumagsak din, diba? So, 46% gain. So, very decent na. So, another way to trade mga double bottoms are to wait for it to break the neckline, not to exactly buy it here, but if you're going for a bigger move, you can wait for it to break the neckline. Right, so again, what's the core logic dito? The core logic here, kung bakit siya bullish reversal pattern, is because a stock does not make a new lower low and it finds support at the previous low. Diba? Di na siya, nag-new low nga siya dito, pero nag-recover ka agad. Same with CHP. Diba? Let me open the CHP example again. Diba? Nag-lower low pero nag-recover agad. Yun yung mahalaga, kaagad mag-recover. 'Di ba? Dito kay Now, 'di ba? Ito hindi na nag-lower low, found support at the previous low. And then the same can be said with dito sa VLL. It found support at the previous low. So di siya nag-lower low, or if nag-lower low man lang, very slight lang pero nag-recover agad. That's a solid double bounce trade. 'Di ba? Okay. So yun. And remember, yun nga, if we're going for a bigger move, diba? We want to get it at the break of the neckline. But if we're going for a simple bounce, pwede na yung bilhin mo talaga sa mismong pagka-bounce tapos benta mo sa resistance. So it's up to you kung ano yung style mo. So next, ito, paborito ng karamihan, we have the Darvas box pero ngayon sa ilalim, di ba? Usually Darvas box mostly ginagamit yan as a continuation pattern, di ba? While a stock goes up. Pero may mga instances din na makikita siya sa ilalim. Well, tawag lang sa kanya Darvas box. We can call it a consolidation pattern or just an accumulation pattern or whatever. So here we have Eei. So ito yung mga wala siya dun kanina sa picture na sa picture ng list ng pattern sa pinakita ko. Pero this is an imminent pattern, especially nung pagkatapos mag-crash yung market. So here's a recent example. We have Eei. So here we have, coming from a downtrend, nag-consolidate siya. It formed a Darvas box there at the bottom. So we see prices are stabilizing. We have a shakeout here, which is good, meaning na shake na yung mga weak holders. Pero tapos bumawi after a few days, showing na there's demand for the stock. Yun, nag-hold lang siya dito. So, here's a common question na tinatanong. Right? So, sa breakout lang ba lagi tayo bibili? Hindi. Of course, pwede tayo bumili sa support. Diba? So, we can always buy here. Siyempre, dito, papakat ka. But let's say, dito sa may 5 pesos, nag-accumulate ka. And then, pwede mo ibenta sa resistance. Mga 19-20% gain yan from 5 to 6, diba? Or, you can just wait for the confirmation of the move. Diba? Dito sa breakout na to, which is coupled with large volume, which is a good sign. And, I believe, as of today, today is kailan ko ba ito sinushoot? Well, anyway, basta alam ko, umabot ito sa TP close to 7 eh. So, 20% upside pa rin siya. So, mamaya na lang yun. But yeah, so, as we see here, siya, long base sa ilalim, tapos Darvas box sa ilalim, then we can try to get the breakout for a potential bigger move higher. Diba? So that's a bullish reversal pattern that we can also spot. Another one that happened early this March. Ito, same thing. Coming from a downtrend, diba? Coming from a downtrend, prices stabilized, formed, diba? A rectangle area, a Darvas box, a consolidation pattern at the bottom. So what can we do? We can try to accumulate it at support, or we can just wait for the confirmation and buy it at the breakout. So here we have a breakout at 5.06 or at 5 pesos, ang lakas ng volume. Saan mo nalagay cut mo? You can put your cut below the low of the candle, which is 4.65, 6% yung downside mo. And then saka magtitipi, syempre mag-set ka ang target mo, and as you can see sa structure, most likely baka mauntog siya at 680 to 7. As you already know, yun nga, umabot siya doon in 3 days. So ano siya, nag-overshoot pero eventually nauntog din. And then after that, nag-retest pero bumagsak na rin. So that's another trade. And then here we have macro Asia naman. Again, something that happened this year. So same thing, coming from a downtrend. Prices over here stabilized, form a Darvas box or a consolidation pattern at the bottom. And then yun, pwede siya i-range trade, pwedeng buy on support, pwedeng sell at resistance. Pero nagkaroon dito ng dalawang shakeout, which is good. Meaning na okay, nag-shakeout pero bumawi. Iba kasi pag nag-breakdown na, tanggal watch list agad. Okay lang pag nag-breakdown after 3 days, boom, down 20%. Pero pag nakaka-recover ka agad, kasi kita mo may volume, pwedeng ibig sabihin niya may demand talaga para sa stock eh. So now, ito medyo mahirap to bilhin sa support, no, since nakakailang shakeouts. But of course, you can also buy it at the breakout, yung confirmation. Diba? So, let's say nabili mo siya, for sake of argument, end of day, 4.95. Saan mo lalagay cut mo? Pwede mo lagay cut mo kapag bumalik sa loob ng base, diba? So dyan, sa 4.50 for example, yung risk mo dyan, 8% sa trade na yan. 8% loss pag nagkamali ka. Saan ka magtitipi? Tipi ka syempre sa dating resistance, dito sa 6. Medyo conservative tayo. Pero doon din siya nauntog. And then it went up 33% in actually only 2 to 3 days. Right? So, okay, wait lang. So again, bakit sa breakout tayo bumibili? Again, hindi siya kailangan sa breakout lagi. But the problem is, if you buy on support, again, yung kalabo mo dito is yung time. Yung opportunity cost. Kung mas chill ka na trader, okay lang yan, accumulate ka support, benta mo sa resistance. But the thing with, again, buying on support is, you don't know how long it will take until the stock reaches resistance para mabenta mo. Diba? It may take a couple of, days, weeks, or even months para umabot sa resistance. While if you're buying the breakout, kung tama yung pagbili mo, may volume, maganda yung market, malakas yung stock, it can make a big move in a short period of time. Doesn't work all the time, but it can. As you can see dito kay Mac, after breaking out of the Darvas box dito sa ilalim, diba, 3 days, 33%. So, solid na. But again, of course, it doesn't always work. So, here's X coming from a downtrend. Prices are stabilizing, but nag-breakdown, and as we all know, X went down on the 84% pa from that point sa 3 pesos. So, again, just want to emphasize that not all the patterns work all the time. So, ano yung Darvas box core logic? It's a sign of accumulation if dito sa bottom. Right? Of course, that again doesn't work all the time, but a nice example would be ito, si Maxes, or ito si Eei, parang pwede siyang potential sign of accumulation eh. Kasi yun nga, nabagsak yung stock, pero nagsistabilize na ngayon. So potentially, baka may mga institutions nag-iipon, may mga institutions na sinusuportahan yung stock. So it's still a good idea to keep an eye on stocks like this, like yung mga long cons, so kasi potentially, baka pwede magka-reversal. Okay. So what's the main point para sa mga bullish reversal patterns sa pinakita ko? Diba, the main point here is seller exhaustion. So yung nangyari is from a downtrend, as you can see sa mga examples, naging downtrend, tapos kasi malakas yung selling, kaya nagka-downtrend, tapos naging sideways. Doon na lumalabas yung mga patterns, mga double bottom, inverse head and shoulders, mga Darvas box sa ilalim, mga consolidation patterns. And then, if ever na mag-pan out nga yung patterns natin, if ever mag-break sa neckline, edi pwede magka-potential uptrend or reversal or strong counter-trend move. Meaning, pag nag-downtrend, yun, mag-bounce siya ng malakas bago tumuloy yung downtrend. Tapos yung bounce na yun, pwede natin tirahin yun. So that's the core logic dito sa mga bullish reversal patterns. Next thing I want to talk about naman are the bearish reversal patterns. But before that, painom muna ako tubig. Now, when we say bearish reversal patterns, ito yung mga yung mga galing sa uptrend, medyo nag-sideways, nagpakita ng bearish pattern, then potentially baka mag-downtrend naman after. So, here's the first example, a double top. A double top is basically kabaliktaran lang siya ng double bottom. So, it's when a stock reaches yung resistance dati, and then that's a good area for you to sell kung nag-TP ka, kung gusto mo na magbenta. Right? Tapos, kailangan bantayan, if ever you see a stock na umaabot sa double top level, kailangan bantayan mo kasi baka mauntog. Right? So, kasi dito ay green, dun siya bumagsak. But I have much better examples. So, eto, let's say for example MRC. Right? At this time, you can see nag-double top siya dito, right? So, can we say na nag-double top ibig sabihin deads na kaagad? The answer sa case ni Green, yes. But it doesn't happen all the time na pagka-double top deads kaagad. Pwede kasi mangyari, I wouldn't consider it deads until it breaks below the neckline. So the neckline is at the support level at this point, 0.2310, and I forgot what happened to MRC now, but at this point, it was kind of, teetering at that level. So kasi pwede dito, yan, nauntog. Pero nag-higher low, tas babawi. Pwedeng ganun eh. Diba? But, obviously, if you're able to buy at this area, this would be a good area to sell at the double top, right? But hindi pa siya totally deads unless nag-break below the neckline. Let me give you a very good example. Here's nickel. But let's say, okay, bentayan mo si nickel. Bentayan mo, tapos gusto mo bilhin sa retest, diba? Sa S&R flip. Kasi bumalik ka dito, 180. Right? Found support at the previous resistance level. Roll reversal. Saan ka magbebenta? Obviously, magbebenta ka saan? Sa dating resistance. Diba dito? Tapos, at the same time, magpo-form siya ng double top pag umabot doon. So, 24% gain na yun. Very decent. Nabenta mo. Sabi mo, grabe, genius. Kita mo yung kandila, reversal, yan? Bad candlestick pattern yan. Yan yung parang price rejection. But little do you know na ano lang pala siya, it was just forming a continuation pattern. It was just forming a continuation pattern, tapos nag-breakout pa after. And as we all know, there's history, it went up another 55%. So what's my point here? Diba, obviously, if you bought it at 180, good sell na yan eh. But you don't have to sell your entire position. You can sell half and check kapag mag-form pa siya ng consolidation similar to this. Right? Or if you're still watching the stock kasi hindi ka nakabili, sakita mo to, tatanggalin mo na ba agad sa watchlist mo? Hindi. Kasi baka nga mag-form pa siya na ganito, mag-higher low lang siya, tapos mag-consolidate pa, mag-Darvas box pa. Tapos, ayan, magka-potential breakout, tapos above average volume pa. After that point, umangat pa 55%. So, the point here is, double bottoms, just because nauntog siya sa resistance, nag-double top rather, hindi deads ka agad. Unless, mag-below yun sa neckline. So, mamaya papakita ko yan. Actually, pinakita ko na dito sa MRC, diba? Hindi pa siya nag-below sa neckline. So, hindi pa siya totally deads. So, dito sa case ni nickel, madadead yan kapag, diba? Nauntog, double top. Madadead yan kapag nag-below 180. But as you can see here, di siya nag-below, nag-console, tapos nag-bigger move. That's what's so, yun, last, diba? But what's happening to nickel ngayon? Ngayon, nag-double top na naman siya. Diba? So, as we can see here, went up, nag-retrace, tennis ball action, nauntog na naman dun. Deads na ba si nickel? Hindi pa. Diba? So, if you're more of a swing trader, diba, na hindi ka naman nag-trend follow, you just want to go for the quick 20% gain, so okay na magbenta sa double top. Diba yung dito? Sige, okay na yan, 24% gain. Pero kung mas trend follower yung approach mo, na bigger move habol mo, sige, pwede ka magbenta dyan. Pero, wag yung buong position mo. Pwede yung kalahati, 1/3, 25%. Bahala ka na kung paano mo i-compute. Tapos, i-hold mo yung remaining half for a bigger move using any trade stop na ginagamit mo. MA20, MA50, or bahala ka na. Right? Or maybe RSI ginagamit mo. So, at this case, let's say, nabili mo si nickel dito sa dip. Right? Kung swing trader ka, pwede na yan pag nabenta mo dito. Quick swing na yan eh. Right? But if you're a trend follower, kailan ka magbebenta? Magbebenta ka kapag kapag na-invalidate na yung trend. Kapag it goes below the neckline of the double top here, which is 290. I think this is around 290, 295. So, yun yung aantayin mo. Diba? So, I'll give you another example. Here's Tesla. So, akala natin, yan, potentially, double top na ba? But again, yung presyo, hindi lang yan titigil porket, ay, sabi ng pattern, double top na to eh. Dapat di na yan magbe-breakout, di ko na bibilin. So, the price does not care about the patterns. These patterns were, formulated or made or identified because on a high probability, point of view, most of the time, pwede siya mauntog or mag-bounce doon. But there are times, of course, na hindi lagi gagana. as dito sa Tesla. So, if inignore mo tong breakout na to, kasi let's say, inignore mo lang, kasi double top daw eh. Ano nangyari? You would have missed out on this 40% move in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. Napakalaki nun. So, price is always king. Diba? So, that's just my point here. So, okay. So, double tops are only conformed if it breaks down below the neckline. Again, if it breaks down below the neckline dito. So, as long as it doesn't break, kasi ito, double top to, pero hindi siya confirmed. Right? Nauntog lang. Pero nag-console, tas nag-big move. Same thing here. As long as it's above 295, hindi pa yan legit double top. Baka nagko-consolidate lang. Diba? But of course, again, if you're a swing trader, a bounce trader, it's a good area to sell yung mga double tops. But if you're more of a trend follower, you can sell portions at that level. Or, much better, you can wait for it to break the neckline. Tapos, so yan, swing and bounce players, it's a good idea to sell at the second test of resistance. Yan ay TP mo. But if you're more of a position trader, ipon ka sa ilalim, you went for a big move, or you're more of a trend follower, you bought at the breakout, or you accumulated at key areas, you're trailing your profits using your own trail stop, you sell at the breakdown of the neckline. Kasi, yung neckline, yun yung parang make or break level. Diba? So, same lang yan. If you're buying inverse head and shoulders, confirm move kapag nabasag yung neckline. At the same time, if you're selling, diba, you want to wait for a breakdown of a neckline if you're a position or trend follower. The next would be head and shoulders. So, pakita ko muna itong picture. Inom lang ako tubig. Head and shoulders, basically, kabaliktaran ng inverse head and shoulders. So, ngayon, bearish reversal patterns. So, here, kay IRC, strong stock, looks like it's just consolidating again. But what can we say about this? But to an eye of a technician or a trader na alam yung mga patterns, we can see na, head and shoulders that's potentially, baka mag-GG na. Diba? So, as you can see here, neckline, so ito yung left shoulder, head, right shoulder, diba? So hindi pa naman totally dead to unless mag-break below the neckline. Diba? But as we can see yun, eventually nag-break down. So ito na dapat yung cut point natin, or if we're watching this, kailangan makita natin kung di ba ka-recover ka agad, GG na to. Or yung nga, if may hawak tayo nito, cut loss or take your profits kung meron. So as you can see here, nagka-breakdown, tapos nagka-retest pa, nagka-SNR flip. Nung hindi naka-recover after the SNR flip, wala na, GG na. As you can see, went down another 72% from that breakdown point. So ito market leader, right? Dokyo, ito US stock naman, diba? Tesla US stock. So this applies to all markets. So we see it's coming from an uptrend and then it forms your head and shoulders. So magbebenta na ba ako or hindi ko na mababantayan? Kasi obvious naman eh. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. So GG na ba to? Actually, hindi pa. Right? So as you can see, actually, it didn't go below the neckline and it still went up another 30% in just 3 days. So what's my point here? It's not dead until it goes below the neckline. If you sell it prior to that, you're anticipating and you can potentially miss a move like this. Of course, kung binenta mo sa right shoulder pa lang, bumagsak, edi genius ka. But what will happen if ginawa mo yun, tas you missed out on this move? Nakakasuka yun, masakit yun. So yun lang, just textbook rule lang, kapag hindi siya nag-break below the neckline, hindi pa valid yung pattern natin. So to give an example na kailan siya naging valid dito. Diba? So si Wix, again, US stock, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, dito ka dapat magbenta kasi na-confirm na yung breakdown. So, teka. Okay. So, the head and shoulders pattern, just like a lot of the other, like inverse head and shoulders as well, it takes time to form. Diba? All patterns take time to form. Diba? Itong pattern na to, it probably took a couple of weeks. Diba? So, yung topping pattern sa mga market leaders or sa mga stocks sa malakas, it will take a while. Right? But, once it starts to break down from our neckline, kailangan outs na tayo doon. So, what's the logic sa head and shoulders? So, it means that market leaders are making their first lower high sa right shoulder. So, to give you an example, dito sa IRC, balik tayo dito. So, ano nakikita natin dito? We see a high, higher high, higher high, pero dito, nag-lower high na, di na siya nag-320, 340, nag-260, 280 na lang. So, lower high yan. So, potentially lang naman, ay, mukhang humihina or mukhang mas malakas na yung sellers. Okay, babantayan ko lang. Tignan natin kapag nag-break below neckline, yun yung olats. And it did. The same thing kay Dokyo actually. Diba? Akala natin, GG na, pero hindi pa. Bakit? Kasi, diba, ito, high. So, high, lower high, pero eventually, nag-higher move pa. Diba? So, that's why we need to wait for the break of a neckline to confirm the pattern before selling or before taking it out of our watch list. Same here kay Wix, diba? Ito yung confirmed, diba? So, we have a high, higher, lower high. Hindi na siya umangat beyond this level. So, potentially, okay, baka na ako nabantayan. Tapos, yun, eventually, nag-breakdown. Okay. Next is the rising wedge. Wait. Guys, sorry I make a lot of videos. Sobrang site na nalamunan ko. So, next is the rising wedge. So, when we say rising wedge, basically, ito yung pattern niya. So, ano na siya? It kind of looks like an uptrend line lang naman na nag-breakdown siya. So, I just want to show you guys. So, SM yan. May uptrend line tayo dito. 1, 2, then nag-breakdown. Then, after that, if hindi ka nag-cut doon, yan, 50% move to the downside. And just here again, a few more examples of what the pattern looks like. Same thing, JGS, rising wedge, breakdown, went down 59% after that. But, rising wedges can only be, a rising wedge is only confirmed, diba? Confirmed na GG na siya or magda-downtrend or potential counter trend move pababa only on a breakdown below the downtrend line. Right? That means, kailangan mabasag tong downtrend line para ma-confirm na, okay, ito na nga mukhang reversal na. So, to show you here, again, not all the patterns work, even the topping patterns. So, a recent trade would be Ace N. Si Ace N, yan, mukhang wedge, diba? Just breakdown nga. But, nag-recover ka agad. So, again, I just wanted to emphasize here, not all patterns work. So, what's the main point para sa mga bearish reversal patterns natin? The main point here, kung sa isa, seller exhaustions, dito naman, buyer exhaustion. So, coming from an uptrend, yan, malakas yung buyers, malakas yung demand, naging sideways na. Bakit? Kasi nagkakaselling na. Yung mga tao na nakabili on the way up, yun na, nagsisimula na magbenta. And if everyone's selling and the institutional people are not supporting the stock, are not giving demand to it, and they're selling as well, edi potentially, baka magka-downtrend or strong counter-trend move pababa. Right? So, again, uptrend, sideways, may pattern, may head and shoulders, may double bottom, may rising wedge, etc. And then, kung nag-break down below the neckline, potentially, boom, baka magka-downtrend. So, next would be, excuse me, sorry. Set lalo muna ko. So, next naman would be, mga continuation patterns. So, ito na yung mga, ito most yung paborito ko, mga continuation patterns. So, how do we define, right? There's just a few textbook things dito, no? How do we define continuation patterns? So, as we all know, stocks don't go up forever. Hindi na magpahinga. Hindi yan straight line paakyat. Magpapahinga din yan. Parang, yun nga, magpapahinga. They don't go up forever. So, continuation patterns give us opportunities to enter if we miss the initial leg up. Diba? Continuation patterns also allow us, or gives us opportunities to add to our existing positions and helps us avoid FOMO. Diba? It gives us an objective way to enter a stock at a low risk entry point. So, what better way to teach this than to show you guys some examples? So, during the continuation pattern, ito lang, just some notes na you guys want to, take note of. Right? During the continuation pattern, we want to see low volume plus volatility contraction. So, I'll be showing this some examples to explain it further. And then, during the breakout of this pattern, we want to see above average volume. And remember, when we trade continuation patterns, we want to have aggressive price targets during good market conditions, especially in bull markets. So you can do this by, trailing your stops, or it's mostly trailing your stops or selling kapag into strength at higher levels. So, or selling at mga yung talaga yearly resistance levels. So it really depends. Basta, when we trade continuation patterns, especially if it's 52-week all-time high breakouts in good markets, you want to have aggressive price targets, or at least you want to have a trend follower approach, right? So let's move forward. Alright, so these are some of the continuation patterns na papakita ko sa inyo. Of course, there's gonna be more. So we have the falling wedge, bullish rectangle or the Darvas box or the consolidations, bullish pennants, flags, and kaput handles, etc. So let's move forward. Right. So the first one I'm going to show you guys is the falling wedge. And guys, again, this is gonna be this part again very example heavy, diba? So again, continuation patterns. Diba? They give us as I mentioned in in the intro of this topic, they give us an opportunity, right, to get into strong stocks where we missed the initial leg up. It allows us, diba, na in an objective way na hindi tayo basa-basa na FOMO, diba? So for example, babalik ko na lang dun, diba? Right, again, con patterns give us opportunity to enter if we miss the initial leg up and give us opportunities to add to our positions. Alright. So, for example, and it also helps us avoid FOMO. Kasi, for example, here's a stock, ACE-N. And guys, as you can see, hourly chart to. I'm just wanting to show you guys na yung patterns to, lalabas to in all time frames. Of course, the lower the time frame, the less significant it is. But I just want to show, nagagana siya sa hourly chart. So, let's say si ACE-N, laki na inangat, diba? But let's say dito na FOMO ka. Diba, GG ka, nabagsakan ka, right? So, syempre dapat, meron tayong objective and systematic way of entering into stocks that we miss the initial leg up. Kasi kung malakas naman talaga yung stock, hindi lang naman yan isang ganun eh. Magpapahinga muna yan bago umakit ulit. So now, we missed out on ACE-N from 150 nag 220. So now, we wait. We wait for a proper continuation pattern to form. And as the example showed, we're gonna show falling wedges. And ACE-N here, right, after this, at this point, formed a falling wedge right here. Diba? And then we have a breakout of that pattern at above average volume. So yun yung buy point natin. So for trading, saan natin nalagay stop natin? We'll put our stop, let's say we're buying into 210, we'll place our stop below 2 pesos, right? Kasi yun nga, psych level din siya. So it's a good area to place our stop. Tapos yung risk natin sa trade is 7% loss, diba? And then, as we can see, if we move forward yan, it also gave us, again, yung continuation patterns is not only a way for us to get into stocks where we missed the first big move, also gives us an opportunity to add to our positions. Right? Because as the hallmark kasi of the books I read is the hallmark of a great trader is someone who can not only sit, diba, on their winning positions, but someone who can have the conviction to put, a good amount of size in it. I'm not saying mag all in or mag 50%. Depends on the type of trader you are. Probably the more aggressive side will be 25 to 30% with the proper risk management parameters. Tas tama yung pag-compute ng position size. But yun nga, it also continuation patterns also gives us an opportunity to add. So if you bought here, pwede ka mag-add ulit dito dahil nag-form siya ulit ng falling wedge or flag or pennant or whatever. Right? And then as you can see, coupled with din yung buong move packet with volume. So yan, and from that point, from the first breakout point, ACE-N went up 35 or about 36%. So ba't siya nauntog dito and how will we know when to sell, right? So something I said in the previous lessons, we sell, we zoom out, we look, if you don't know where to sell, we look at bigger picture resistances. So here I looked at the weekly chart and as we can see, dito rin siya nauntog. Bago siya nag-correct, nauntog siya sa multi-year long 2.90, 2.80, 2.90 resistance. Yan, so since 2013 so very significant resistance. So that's a good area to sell a portion of your profit. Here's another example, MAC. So as we can see, MAC, grabe, last move niya, 2017, right? We have a long base here. Kinda looks like a kaput handle. Breakout, 5 days straight, strong volume. On the down days, low volume. On the up days, high volume. Went up more than doubled your money in about a month. So at this point, after more than doubling in price, the SMAC seem expensive, di ba? Na parang, ano ba yan, hindi ko na to bibilin. From 3, 7.50, parang wala na, masyado na mahal. Some people may think that way, but remember what I said in the first lesson. Right? What's cheap can get cheaper. Tatagalugin ko ulit. Pag mura yung stock, baka lalo ka lang mapamura. Conversely, in contrast, what's expensive can get more expensive. What's overvalued can get more overvalued. Kapag mahal mo yung stock, baka mahalin mo pa lalo. In caution, it doesn't happen all the time, of course. Basta, etong line na to, pag good market environments, tsaka malakas yung stock. In the case of MAC, of course, we don't want to get FOMO'd, right? We don't want to get FOMO'd and just buy out of nowhere. We want to buy objectively and wait for the proper continuation pattern so we can get a proper low-risk entry. And the first major one came out here where it formed a falling wedge right here Diba? So let's say we bought at 7, we can place our cut below 6.8, below the low of this candle. Again, the breakout came with high volume tsaka low volume consolidation. Alright, so guys, i-explain ko na lang din. I think I put it in, ayun, okay, mamaya. So, yun, nag-breakout, strong volume, and then, after that point, it went up another 100+%. Again, doubling your money. So, if you missed out on the initial 158%, and you waited for the continuation pattern, you listened to price and not your thoughts of what's expensive and not, and you just bought the breakout, right, of the continuation pattern, you would have made, and you know, and you held it, right? It went up 100% in about 2 months. Diba? And not only that, on the way up, it gave even more continuation patterns. Tapos, it showed yung classic signs of proper, yung healthy signs of continuation patterns. Meaning, when it broke out of the resistance of these pauses, it showed above average volume or even just massive volume on the upside. So that shows a really strong stock in a bull market, diba? So guys, ito lang I want you guys to remember. Low volume consolidation. Ano yung mga characteristics sa mga continuation patterns that we want to see? We want to see low volume consolidation. Bakit? That means that's just normal profit taking. Of course, if a stock goes up like this, right? Some people are gonna take profits at this point, and that's what causes yung ganito. Right? But how will you know kapag tennis ball yung stock na yun, hindi egg, kapag kaya bumawi ka agad? Diba? So normal lang yung mga ganito, yung mga post na ganito, mga normal profit taking lang yan. So, but, yun nga, kapag nag-post lang siya ng ganyan, it formed the classic continuation patterns that shows institutional support. Right? Kasi of course, prices of stocks won't go up. If puro retail traders, yung tayo lang bibili, we need, diba, institutional backing to help prices push higher. And then, we want to see high volume breakouts to show institutional demand. Diba? So again, as we see here, we have a low volume, we have a high volume run up, a low volume consolidation showing that little supply is coming into the market. People are taking profits, but yung nga, since maliit yung volume, not a big amount of sellings happening, and the institutional people, they're supporting the stock, they're building up their positions, people are buying at support, and then the breakout at high volume just shows that there's really demand for the stock. Same thing happens here. Low volume consolidation, high volume breakout. Low volume consolidation, high volume breakout. Low volume consolidation, high volume breakout. So that's one of the key characteristics you want to see, not only in the continuation patterns, but in the price action of the market leaders. Alright. So can we buy only on support or puro buy on breakout lang pwede? So na-mention ko ito kanina, of course, we can also buy on support dito, di ba? So we can buy on the support of the base here, we can buy on the support of the base here, we can buy on the support of the base here. But again, yung swerte dito yung pag-move on the upside, mabilis. But again, the con is, if we're buying on support, tas yung pala 6-month base, pwede maipit pera natin. Not ipit na loss, but ipit na it's in a slow mover na pwede sana natin transfer sa kabila. So I keep saying na maganda yung bilhin sa breakout kasi mabilis yung pag-akyat if maganda market and malakas yung stock. But of course, depending on our style, if we're more comfortable building our positions in support, we can always do that. Diba? Alright. Sorry, pumiyok ako. Wala muna ako. Teka. Next is the Darvas box or the consolidation. Wait. Or what William only likes to say in his book, How to Make Money in Stocks, the flat base. But in our case, I just call it the Darvas box. Ito kasi yung sikat na term sa community natin, in the trading community. So now, I'll give you another example. Let's use MAC again. MAC, after going up 158%, 111%, guess what it did? It formed another continuation pattern, but this time it formed the Darvas box. Darvas box din pala itong mga to. But ito, bigger Darvas box. So again, same thing happened. Low volume consolidation followed by high volume breakout. That just goes to show yung demand para sa stock na to. But after this, nag-top na siya, nag-upcat pa siya mga 20%, but nag-top na siya after that. But 20%, that's still a good move, right? And here's something I want you guys to remember. It's something I learned from Javi. It's a common saying in technical analysis. Itong term na to, narinig ko to sa kanya first sa Invest Summit 2020. The bigger the base, the higher in space. Meaning, the longer the consolidation, the longer the Darvas box, the longer the continuation pattern, the bigger the potential breakout and move on the upside in a strong stock in a good market. Even in a strong stock in a bad market. But of course, syempre, gusto natin kung maganda yung market, hindi mas mataas yung chance na mag-explode talaga siya. Let me show you some examples. Again, here's Ditto. Again, After mag-run up from piso, from piso ba? Yeah, from piso, nag-tres, di ba? And then, nagpahinga muna. Again, stocks don't go up forever. Nagpahinga, nagka-onting profit taking, but it consolidated. This is a 6-month base, I believe. Or July, August, September, October. 6-month base. Kasi malapit na mag-December nito. It formed a consolidation pattern on, again, low volume. Tapos, nagkaroon pa ng shakeout again. This is a good sign. Bakit? Kasi yung mga weak holders na wala, tapos, bumawi ka agad. Showing institutional support. Bumawi siya kaagad. Undercut, kumbaga, tawagin. Then, try to break out, nag-fail. But eventually, it was able to break out. And again, if you look at the volume, right, ang laki ng volume on the upside, showing na legit nga yung breakout. I believe this is a 52-week high breakout as well. Right? And then, yan, made a 139% move in about a week. Diba? So, yun yung mga, and again, the longer the base, the higher in space. The longer the consolidation, the bigger the potential breakout. Here, we have a 6-month base. May kasama na nga shakeout. So, yun. After the shakeout na nag-recover, dapat yun, binabantayan mo na. Potentially, kung nag-breakout to, baka mag-big move. May kasama pang catalyst. So, yun. So, guys, remember, catalyst, tinuro ni JC yan. Here's another one. Ito naman, now, ito sobrang mahabang base naman. Same thing. Darvas box, long base, 21-month base, almost 2 years. The weekly chart to, guys. So, pag dinili ko to, mas mahaba pa yan. Right, so yan. 21-month base after it broke out sa may 4 pesos. Yan. This is January 2018. It made a 377 move from 3 pesos all the way to, from 4 pesos all the way to 20 pesos. Here's another one. Ito, medyo luma na. 2011 pa. This is PIP. That's Pepsi Cola Products Philippines Inc. So, it formed a 36-month base. So, even longer than what now made. So, 36-month base from late 2010 to around mid-2012. Diba? And yun. So, as you can see, again, a low volume consolidation. Siyempre, yung mga breakout attempts on high volume pero nag-fail. But around this level, yan, low volume consolidation. Then, volume picked up when the stock broke out. And after that, yun, nag-form siya ng panibagong uptrend. So, from downtrend, nag-consolidate na matagal, tumahimik, diba? From downtrend to sideways, ano ba? Yeah. Ay, hindi. Ano pala to? From, parang sideways siya na matagal, tapos nag-break out, nag-form na malakas na uptrend, an opportunity for entry. Right? Tapos, ayun, malaking volume, which sparked a 126% move in about 6 months. Solid yun. Next, ito na. Ito yung pinaka-solid. Guys, yung mga Darvas box, as shown dun kay Mac, it doesn't have to be like 5 months, 6 months. You can actually be just a couple of days, right? But yun yung mga sobrang malakas na momentum moves. So, here's the stock, right? Haven, 385% in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Diba? So, sobrang lakas. Looks very expensive. But to the eye of someone who's looking for strong stocks, ano gagawin mo sa ganito? Tatanggalin mo na sa watchlist mo, na-miss mo na yung buong move. No, you wait for a potential entry kung magbigay siya. And in this case, yan, namigay siya ng sobrang iksi na Darvas box na consolidation. We can also call this, kapag short-term na ganyan, we can call it a high-tight flag as well. Sobrang daming names, no? But the name is not important. The fact na, daming pangalan but we can see it happens all over and all over again in strong stock. So, here we have a high-tight flag, a Darvas box, a consolidation, whatever you want to call it. Then nag-break out. So, yan, another move. After it broke out, yan, nag-form pa. So, it went up. This is around a 50% move. Formed another consolidation. Then, nag-break out ulit. And this is the reason why you have to still take a look. Even if naiwan ka na, kung malakas talaga yung stock, magpapahinga yan. May mga magta-take profit. But again, if there's institutional demand, if that's a strong stock in a strong market, mag-perform yan ng continuation pattern. And once it does, kapag nag-break sa upside, may potential move pa after that. So after this, nag-form pa na 151% move. Then after this breakout, it went up another 180% kung dito ka pa bumili until the pinaka-high. So, yan, sobrang lakas ni Haven, right? And classic, Darvas box. Okay, now I wanna give some personal examples naman. So ito, puro ano lang parang di ko naman na-trade yung mga yun, di ba? Di ko naman na-trade yung mga yun So I'll show you some stocks na personally na-trade ko. Yung lang tubig. This house. Jose House from the bottom to the top went up 80%. Actually, yan, last, diba? And if you look at the bigger picture naman, actually, 52-week high na ito. 52-week high yung 850. Tapos, yan, very significant resistance as we can see. So now, what do you do kapag nakita mo to? You wait for a continuation pattern on the daily chart. Diba? And, nagbigay naman siya. Ayun. So, dyan din ako bumili. So, we have a 52-week high breakout after a Darvas box continuation pattern. Tapos, low volume conso, meaning naka-profit taking lang, but, there's not that much supply coming into the market. The demand is still holding the stock up. Tapos, nagka-high volume breakout showing institutional demand. So, dyan ako bumili. Bumili ako sa opening na nag-gap up, tapos nag-add ako sa position ko sa closing. And then, it went up 41% in a very short period of time. Diba? So, now what do you do if you miss the initial leg up? Ano gagawin natin? Again, you wait for continuation patterns to form. Eh, maganda yung example si House kasi ang dami niyang ginawang Darvas boxes or flat bases or whatever you wanna call it. Diba? So, yan, nagka all-time high breakout ulit. But again, guys, pwede tayo bumili sa support. We don't have to buy it always on the breakout. If you're more of a support buyer, you can do that. And if you missed out on that, guess what? Right after the breakout, it formed another consolidation pattern, another Darvas box. Again, we can buy on support or we can buy on the all-time high breakout. Sayang guys, di masyado makita yung volume activity, no? Kasi yung nga, nakamalaking trades dito, malaking volume cross trades. So, di na masyado makita. But anyway, let's focus on the price action. And then, again, nangyari na naman. I remember I was trading this, grabe, sobrang textbook, no? Yan, you can buy on support, nagka-shakeout dito, breakout, tas ito na yung top niya. Tas nag-conso na matagal, para namatay na. I remember this was 2019, nasa school pa ako nito. I remember trading this. I was, sa klase ako, tapos yun, trade ko lang. Medyo maaga ako nabenta. Average sell ko 11.66. Kasi, yun nga, the thing about this, syempre, is you have to be able to, if you're holding it, ang lalim ng base ko, you have to be willing to hold it through this consolidation. So, yung style ko kasi, I want to sell into strength first. Yung mga techniques on selling, we'll teach it in the execution class. So, I sold portions here. Tapos, I think I sold everything dito na sa may 13. So, nasa mga 12, yan, 11, I sold, saan ba ako nagbenta? Ewan ko ba, basta yan, mga near 12 yung average selling ko from, yan, yung buy ko sa 8 dito. So, 30%, I missed out on an 80% move, right? So, this is something that I learned din na you have to learn how to sit on our winners. So, this is something I traded nung, college, third year college student ako nito. So, 30% kinita ko dyan. And then, I want to give another personal example. So, here we have Holcim. So, ito naman, downtrend, tas sideways. So, yan. Ano yung setup? Darvas box, pero sa ilalim. So, from the trend, from downtrend, naging sideways. And then, we had a big breakout. So, again, kung support buyer ka, you could have bought at support. But if you were, if you were just waiting for a bigger move to happen, you were waiting for the break of the neckline to happen, ito na yun. We have a big breakout here, nag-up 26% in one day. So, what happened after that? It continued and went up 55% in 6 days. Diba? Showing huge volume. So, now, iwan ka na dyan kapag wala ka pa nabili. Ayaw natin ma-FOMO. So, what do we do? What did I do? I waited for, alala ko pa, si Renzo siya, si Curvin, na-trade nila to. Wala po sa Investa nun, pero si Curves, tropa kami yan. Na-trade niya to, tapos na-kwento niya si Renzo. Nakilala ko yung si Renzo at one event. Na-trade nila to. Tapos para akong, ano ba yan? Puti, class yung mga pare. Sila, nag-accumulate sila sa support. Diba? And they didn't expect na ganito ka kasi move, pero yun, solid. Ako, I was patient. I waited for a consolidation pattern to happen. And again, the classic signs of a leader were shown here. I waited for a continuation pattern, low volume conso, and then high volume breakout. So it broke out, pero di ko na trade. Di ko na bilhin sa breakout. Bakit? Kasi nasa klase ako. Busy ako makinig kasi mabuti akong estudyante. Minsan. But luckily, I was able to get a retest. So nagka-SNR flip, roll reversal. That's where I got it. And then yun. It went up 59% in 2 weeks. And then yun, nag-top siya dyan. I think I sold portions. Average selling ko, 13. I sold, same thing. I was third year college. Patapos na yung college days ko neto. Ito na yung mga, kaya nakikinig ako sa klase kasi yun nga, pa-finals na kami, ganun. So yun, I sold into strength a little bit at 13. And then nag-trade stop ako, EMA 20. Hindi kita sa chart. Pero yun, napabenta ako dito. Nearly 13 din. So yan, 13 average selling ko. Tapos yun, this was one of my biggest trades back at that year. And then next, ito naman, I want to show din, of course, na hindi lagi gagana. Ito, classic, big run up, Darvas box, 5-month base. Mag-super move ba? Hindi. Nag-fake out, tapos bumagsak. So again guys, I just want to emphasize, siyempre, mga pinapakita ko examples, mga gumana. But there are also countless of examples of stocks that didn't work out, diba? Even if the patterns were there, the low volume conso was there, the high volume breakout was there are times na di siya gagana. That's why we need to have proper sizing, proper risk management, tsaka disiplinado tayo sa pagkat na losses pag nagkamali. So you guys, yung Darvas box, may magic ba? Basta very sikat yung term na Darvas box sa community natin. Obviously because of the book How I Made 2 Million in Stocks. I believe that's a title by Nicholas Darvas. Putik. Nicholas Darvas ang putik. So, yun. Tas yun nga, tinuturo ng mga sikat na people in the community, di ba? And yun, very famous siya. It's a common setup that majority of us already know unless you're a newbie pa lang. So, may magic ba siya? Kasi nakikita nyo, putik, nag-box lang, tas nag-100%. Well, actually, wala siyang magic. It's only, ano yung core logic dito? Hindi magic yung box sa drawing ko. It's basically support and resistance, di ba? Kung babalik ko dito, ano ba to? Support, ano ba to? Resistance. Dinrawing nga lang ng box. Parang nagka-edges, nagka-corners lang, nagka-line sa gitna. So, ano ba to? Support and resistance. Eto, ano ba tong mga to kay house? Support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. Kaya yung una kong tinuro nung TA1 is support and resistance kasi dun na umiikot lahat ng strategies. Yung Darvas box, walang magic yan. Pinangalanan lang na support and resistance yun, di ba? So, wala siyang magic. Again, it revolves around price structure pa rin. So, next pattern I want to show as I drink some water is the pennant, the bullish pennant or the flag. So, almost the same lang naman. Alright, so ito, this is a nice stock. So when I was looking for stocks to put in the presentation, parang naghanap ako, ano ba maganda? Sakita ko lang to, ang daming patterns. If you're a trained eye, makikita mo kagad yung patterns. So ano yung mga nakita ko? Nakita nyo ba to? Yan, may rising wedge tayo, may bearish reversal patterns, bumagsak. And then yun, may falling wedge pagkatapos, then bumawi, right? And then, yan, ito personally, na-trade ko to. Itong pennant o yung flag. Kailan ko ba to na-trade? Nasa Investa na ata ako nito. Tapos yun, kumita ako, quick, 12%. Diba? So, paano ko to na-trade? So, basic lang, bought it on the breakout. Average ko, yan, 1142. I think I added, ayun, I bought it here first and I added on the breakout here. And then, I sold all of my position. Halos, yun nga, medyo genius, no? Malapit sa tuktok, sa 12, near 13. So, ba't ko binenta dun? Kasi, double top. So, I was, again, di ba sabi ko kanina, pag double top, if you're going for a trend follow or position trade, you don't sell it kapag nauntog. You sell it pag nag-break sa neckline. And that will be somewhere these candles. But ako, my target here was not to trade it for a trend follow approach, but to trade it for a quick swing trade. And yun yung nakuha ko. And solid naman. Diba? I was able to sell it near the top. Hindi naman genius, nagkataon lang. And ito, another personal example. This is dito, after the market crash, di ba, nagpiso, nag-bounce, tapos yan, nag-form ng inverse head and shoulders, but I was able to execute. We had the strong breakout here, tapos above average volume, right? And then this move itself from 180 to 230 is probably about 30%. But the entire bounce, 137%, I missed out on that. So what did I do? I waited for a continuation pattern, but actually what I did was, I bought the retest sa 2 pesos. So maaga ako bumili, diba? Prior to it forming a pennant or a flag. So ba't ako bumili dyan? Kasi retest siya ng 2 pesos, which is yung psych level. So that acts as a strong support level. Yung nga, napagbigyan, hindi na siya bumaba below 2 after that point. But, it eventually formed the flag. So nag-add ba ako sa position ko? Hindi. Actually, nagbenta ako dyan. So ito yung execution ko. So 30% din kinita ko. Tapos, ayan, I sold half here. So, dito sa, and sold all here. Bakit? Bakit ganun? Hindi ko nilang tiniif. Because at that point, the market medyo alanganin. So I was more apt to take profit rather than to be too aggressive. I want to protect my profit. So ito yung trading plan ko. So I wanted to sell half dito, right? I wanted to sell half kay dito. Gets ba? The joke na, sorry ba doy. So yun, TP1 dito. sorry. TP1 here, right? Sa high ng dating base. And then TP2 ko dito sa 3, below 3, 290, 295 ata ako nagbenta or 290 sakto. So, dyan, resistance na yan. Di ko naman na-expect na mag-breakout, magka-big move close to 4. But, I followed my plan and I got a quick 30% out of it. So, not quick. It was it took a while. It took a month or two, but I got what I planned for. Here, ito naman. Again, personal trade. Ito naman, ito yung a few of my biggest trades na early this year. So, ito tech. So, again, I want to show na yung mga patterns. Gagamit yan sa micro time frame. Especially pag sobrang volatile ng stock, mabilis yung galawan, high volatility, you can look for continuation patterns. Ito, naghahanap ako sa 5-minute chart. Because tech made a strong bounce, 33%. Diba na I was like, grabe to, sobrang bugbog, potential reversal, tapos, ito, sa micro time, sa daily downtrend siya. Pero sa micro time frame, sa 5 minutes, kita ko, okay, uptrending, nag-conso. So, ano siya? Was it a flag, a pennant, Darvas box? I mean, you don't really need to memorize the names. Ano, sabi ko, penat ata to. Sige, tara, tirahin natin. Tapos again, low conso, right? So, that's what I wanted. But of course, since micro siya, pwedeng mali. But, syempre, after the fact, yun, tama naman ako. So, I didn't just buy on the breakout. I bought on the support. So, 450 bumili ako. And then, the next day, nung nag-breakout on above average volume, I added to my full position. And then, saan ako nagbenta? I sold it. Yan, it formed multiple continuation patterns, right? Darvas box, falling wedge. And then, sabi ko, okay, kung nilipat mo sa daily, actually, heavy resistance sa tong 8. But I wanted to see if, okay, ito na yung parang stop ko. If nag-below dito sa structural support sa 5 minutes, cut na ako. And yun, dyan ako nagbenta sa may 6.78 average selling ko. So, dito sa area na to. Sa retest ata ako nagbenta. So, yun. That's one of my biggest trades. And then, at early this year, percentage-wise. And then, I was able to trade it again. So, yan, bumagsak siya, diba? Tapos, ito yun eh. Tama ba? Yeah, ito yun. Bumagsak. Dito ako ay, tama ba? Teka. So, 780. Ito. Dito ako nagbenta. Dito, diba? Bumagsak. Buti nang benta ako. But, I saw nag-recover siya. So, nag-draw ako ng downtrend line. Sabi ko, okay, let's see kung kaya basagin to. Boom, nabasag. So, initial buy here, good volume. And then, I added more nung na-break niya yung previous high. Malakas talaga si Tech nung time. Ito, alam ko micro time frame. But at the time, you can see the volume coming in. Right? Strong volume. Added more there. And then, I sold... Teka. Sorry, nagkamali. Ito yun. Mamaya pa to. Ito yun. So, I bought here, diba? Then bought here. And then, yun, nag-form siya ng bagong base. So, sabi ko, pa nag-breakdown, mag-ibenta na ako. I just followed my plan. Yun. Nag-breakdown, I sold it, bumagsak. Sabi ko, genius, nakapag-lock in ako 26% gain. But yun nga, bumawi pa. Right? So, nung bumawi, I waited for, again, another continuation pattern. And ito na yun. It formed a Darvas box, a long consolidation in the 5-minute chart, bought it at the breakout. And then, yun, nauntog na siya sa resistance sa 13 dun sa daily chart. So, nung nag-break siya sa uptrend line ko, yun, dito na ako nagbenta sa 12-13. Dito na sa second red candle. Mabilisang lala ko nasa meeting ata ako nito tapos yun, biglang boom, buhos. Sabi ko, ano po, nangyari? Right? Tapos yun, nagbenta na ako. Yun, lock in 12% gain. So, solid yung mga kinita ko dito sa tech. So, yun lang, using continuation patterns on micro time frames, on very high volatile stocks on time at all. Of course, I had to watch it almost the whole day since yung micro time frame. But yun, it's possible, especially if malakas yung stock. So again, I just want to show na hindi siya lagi gagana. SSP back in 2018 formed the bullish pennant, a flag, whatever you want to call it. But nag-breakdown tapos from 240 and nag-below 2. For a show again, hindi lagi Pasko, hindi lagi gagana. Okay, so let's move on na to the next. Wala siya sa list kanina but I want to include it of course kasi very famous tong pattern ito, the cup with handle. So this actually one of the most explosive chart patterns in history sa market, diba? And one of the common chart patterns, sure na mostly ginagawa ng mga market leaders. If you read the book How to Make Money in Stocks by William O'Neill, he had the first 100 pages were full of the charts of the leading stocks from 1890s all the way to 2004 ata, 2008. And, most of them showed, the cup with handle patterns prior to making their huge run-up. So, those are stocks in the US, right? So, yun. Most common chart patterns seen in market leaders. So, I just want to give a few examples of, yung mga sa US. Say, medyo mahirap maghanap ng cup with handle sa Pilipinas, pero meron din. So, one example would be Tesla, right? It formed the cup with handle, tapos yun, ang all-time high breakout here, right? And then, yun, went up 134%, diba? In a very short period of time, about a month or two. And here's another example. We have AMD, diba? So, ito naman, meron tayong mahabang handle for the cup and the handle. And then, yeah, nagka-breakout above the neckline on above average volume, diba? So, same thing. It's another continuation pattern. Same thing. We want to see volatility contracting, volume contracting during the handle, and then large breakout. It went up 63% in a short period of time. We have a TTD. This is the trade desk. Again, we have a cup with handle here. So what we want to see then when it comes to trading cup and handles, you want to see low volume sa handle part. Right? So in the handle, ito yung parang pivot point kung tawagin. We want to see low volume there. And then once it breaks out, you want to see high volume, just like in any continuation pattern. After that, went up 55% in a short period of time. One of the leaders in the US. And then we have IRC. So IRC also one of one of the leaders noong 2018. Diba? So, what pattern do you see? Right? Not a lot of people might see this, but ako, when I saw this, I was actually seeing a cup with handle. So, we're seeing two good signs here. Sa cup, we have a low volume consolidation. Sa handle, we have a much lower volume consolidation. And then sa breakout, yan, high volume. As you already know, in a short period of time, IRC from that point, so 180 went all the way up to around 280, diba? So 72% move yun in a short period of time. Kung i-measure mo lang hanggang dito sa week na to, measure ko sa dito, kung hanggang dito, mga 60, ganyan, 65, so solid, right? Right, so, I forgot to put in the slides, but the core logic, diba, sa cup with handle is actually similar lang sa, parang ano lang, diba, we see a huge correction followed by, eto na, build up sa resistance. So guys, when you see a build up sa resistance like this, hindi siya bad na parang, ay, ang tibay naman ng resistance. It's only bad, syempre, pag nag-breakdown. But if it just stays there, pag nag-control siya below resistance, yun yung kailangan mong bantayan. Bakit? Kasi at any moment, pwede mag-breakout yun kapag nagka-demand. Like here, again, low volume conso, tapos biglang nagka-high volume breakout. Same with AMD. Low volume conso, tapos nagka-all-time high breakout. Same with Tesla. Low volume conso here, tapos nagka-breakout, nag-conso ulit, binigyan ka ulit ng opportunity for entry, opportunity to add to your position, tapos nagka-big breakout, and then the rest is history. So that's a cup with handle. Right? And then, next, we have yung mga neutral chart patterns. Ito naman, parang, pwede siyang bearish, pwede siyang bullish, depends on where the price goes, right? The ascending triangle, descending triangle, and symmetrical triangle. So first, ascending triangle, this is more on the bullish side. Bakit? So, again, bakit siya neutral? Kasi dalawa pwede mangyari. Pwede siya mag-breakdown sa uptrend line or pwede siya mag-breakout. Pwede siya mag-breakdown sa uptrend line, pwede mag-breakout dito sa resistance. But in this case, nag-breakout siya. As you can see yan, low volume conso, high volume breakout, went up 156%. Pero if you miss that, yun, may continuation pattern ulit. May Darvas box sa lumabas or flat base. Nagka-shakeout, which is good. Low volume conso nangyari, and then nagka-high volume breakout. So yun lang, again, continuation patterns are key to latching on to yung mga leaders sa market natin if you miss out on the initial moves. And again, I just want to show another example. This another ascending triangle. So Ace X dati. So, and then, of course, again, hindi siya lagi gumagana. So, here, we have ascending triangle. So we have a higher low, din nag-breakdown. So, this is what I want to show. Bakit leaning towards bullish ako kapag ascending triangle? Hindi totally neutral. It's because the stock is forming a series of higher lows tas may build up sa resistance. As you can see here, for example, si Zoom. Diba? Higher low, higher low, higher low. That's signs of an uptrend. Tapos nag-build up sa resistance. Low volume, consolidation. But of course, the reason why medyo neutral siya is because at any time, pwede siya mag-breakdown. Pero kung malakas talaga yan, mag-breakout siya like it showed here. Right, next naman is we have the descending triangle. So ito, leaning towards bearish. So if you guys take a look at this, a chart of Bitcoin before, so mukha siyang continuation pattern na solid naman. Right, but if you plot it, it's actually showing a descending triangle, which is a bearish continuation pattern. So it's a continuation pattern to the potentially to the downside. So as we can see here, bakit bearish to? Eh tsaka bakit neutral siya? Diba? So we have in the first place, bakit leaning towards bearish? It's because it's forming a series of lower highs. Showing na mas malakas yung sellers, wala masyadong demand. Every time na nauntog siya sa downtrend line, yan, bumabagsak siya. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, 4 lower highs before finally breaking down on above average volume, di ba? But of course, there are also times na pwedeng mag-break out, di ba, of that downtrend line. As you can see here, nauntog dito, nag-lower high ulit. But on the third test, di ba, so high, lower high, but on the third time, nag-break out siya above average volume, follow-on volume, pumasok din. So, yun yung solid, di ba? So, kasi hindi mag-breakdown dito, buhay pa naman siya. But yun nga, the fact na nag-lower high siya, so na baka yun nga, nag-overpower yung sellers sa mga buyers. So, but leaning towards bearish ako dito, again, stock is forming a series of lower highs and sellers are in control. Okay! So, actually, tapos na. So, I know na this is a long lesson, but I just want to give a conclusion to summarize everything. You don't need to memorize the names of the patterns, diba? If you think na you need to memorize everything I mentioned, you're mistaken, my friend, diba? I mean, eventually, I memorize it, as I mentioned kanina, because I chart it, I've seen it again and again. But if you're just gonna read the textbook na, okay, inverse head and shoulders, double bottom, double top, yung memorize mo parang test sa school, di mo kailangan gawin yun. Again, you want to understand versus memorize, diba? And it's all about pattern recognition. Diba? All of those, yung mga charts na pinakita ko, yung naked charts pa lang sila, kailangan makita mo na, ito may Darvas box, ito cup with handle continuation pattern, ito medyo delix na, nag-head and shoulders, pero di pa naman nag-break sa neckline, so observe muna ako. Ito, nag-rising wedge to, antayin ko mag-break in downtrend line. Kailangan talagang tutok ka. Di man tutok, kailangan lang ma-practicean mo. Di ba? Mag-chart ka mag-isa, save, parang mag-chart ka ng 50 na Darvas box, 50 na cup with handle, di ba? So, yun talaga, you have to put in the work, right? And then, my tips for reversals, again, or my reminders, the pattern is not confirmed unless it breaks the neckline. Remember nickel? Di ba, nag-double top siya, but hindi naman siya nag-breakdown. Umakyat pa. And remember Docu? Mukha na siyang head and shoulders, di ba? But, it did break below the neckline. Umakyat pa. So, the pattern is not confirmed unless it breaks the neckline. So, the reversal from an uptrend to a potential downtrend, hindi pa siya confirmed. Baka mauntog in the short term, but in the medium term, in the bigger picture, hindi pa siya totally olats. Right, so when the neckline breaks, so means a potential big move in the opposite direction. This is same for bullish reversals, meaning from downtrend sideways to uptrend, or in bearish reversals, from uptrend sideways to downtrends. The neckline needs to break for a potential big move in the opposite direction. Now, my tips for continuation patterns, again, you don't need to memorize all of the names and have a perfect textbook pattern. What's important is to know the supply and demand relationship in the patterns. When I say supply and demand, it's the volume. Diba? I know I discussed volume a little bit here. In the indicator lesson, we're going to be tackling more on that. But basically, yung pinaka-important part, sinabi ko na dito. Diba? Kasi volume is dealing with the amount of shares bought and sold in the market. So that's dealing with the buyers and sellers or the supply and demand. So remember, during the consolidations, during the continuation patterns, what you want to see is low volume. Bakit? Because that shows that not a lot of supply is coming into the market. People are taking profits, but hindi siya yung sobra-sobra na tipong buhos. And there are institutional buyers supporting the stock. Tapos, pag breakout, you want to see high volume para talaga makita natin nandun yung demand. Diba? And of course, demand from retail traders and demand from institutional traders the like. Basta yun, breakouts, high volume dapat. Kasi breakout na start of a new uptrend din. For prices to go up, kailangan may demand, diba? So that's what you want to see.
Alright, what's up mga ka-invest? I hope nag-enjoy kayo so far and marami kayong natutunan from this lesson na sobrang comprehensive, sobrang siksik from Paulo Tomacruz. Ngayon, mag-quick break muna tayo and let's start our pop quiz. So in our pop quiz, I'm gonna be showing you 4 charts in the stock market, in the financial markets, and I'm gonna be asking you guys kung ano yung mga patterns na nare-recognize nyo from this chart, no? So i-comment nyo lang yung answers nyo below. So for the first chart, this is Eei Corporation at around 20, 14, 15, 16. So this is a weekly chart. So, long-term chart siya. So, probably marami kayong nakikitang patterns na nare-recognize. Pero, ano yung main pattern na nakikita nyo from this chart? So, I'm gonna be giving you guys 5 seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. So, if nakita nyo rin is double bottom, congratulations because natututo kayo from the lesson, no? And actually, if you try to zoom out, parang triple bottom siya. So, 3 beses siyang umabot doon sa ating support level. So, makikita natin after reaching that support, no? Umakyat siya by more than 590% throughout those years. So, the next chart is VLL or Vista Land and Lifescapes. So, ano kayang pattern yung nakikita nyo from this chart? So, I'll give you guys 5 seconds to think, no? Pwedeng iba-iba yung chart patterns na nakikita natin, pero ano yung yung main pattern na gusto kong makita nyo. So, I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so meron tayong continuation pattern which could be a buy opportunity if you are keen enough in the charts, no? So, makikita natin nung nag-breakout siya from that pattern, umakyat siya ng halos 40%. So, it's a good opportunity for us. Alright, so the next chart is Eei Corporation. So, I'd give you guys 5 seconds to think, no? Ano yung mga chart patterns na nakikita nyo in this chart. So I'll give you guys 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so meron tayong continuation pattern in the form of a descending triangle. So since downtrend siya, it is a continuation pattern. And nung nag-break yung support dito, may kita natin na bumaba talaga siya. Pero, hindi lang yon. I think meron pang isang pattern na dapat makita natin in this chart. So again, I'll give you guys 5 seconds kung ano yung tingin yung next pattern na nakikita natin dito. So I'll give you guys 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so meron din siyang cup and handle na nagpo-form dito sa right side of our chart. And if nakikita nyo yung resistance dito, ano kayang mangyayari pag nag-break siya? Of course, it's a good opportunity for traders and investors to make money. So for the last chart, this is not a stock chart, it's actually a Forex chart of the pound versus the US dollar. So kung meron kayong nakikitang pattern in this chart, let me know in the comment section below. I'll give you guys 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so kanina double bottom, ngayon naman meron tayong double top. So after nung na-reach yung double top and hindi nag-break yung price dito sa resistance, nag-reverse siya and naging downtrend na siya. So yun yung mga patterns, no, hindi lang sa stock charts, makikita rin natin siya sa mga forex charts, sa mga stock charts sa US. So napakahalaga ng lesson na ito and I hope you guys are enjoying so far. So let's go back to Paulo Toma Cruz.
That's a wrap. So guys, I know this was a very long lesson. Kudos to those who were able to stay. And I know the this is about 195 to 200 slides, right? And the reason bakit sobrang dami kong charts na pinakita is because I just don't want to show you guys. So bear with me. Tapos na. Bakit bear with me? So sorry na lang, no? Pag medyo, ang daming charts. Kasi kailangan talaga kailangan makita nyo, not just from, kasi pwede ako mag-choose na one stock. Sabihin ko, ito yung Toma pattern na gumana dito, tapos umakyat ng nagsiling bigla. I want to show at least 3, di ba? Kasi ang daming patterns. So at least 3 to 5 to 8, right? Na paulit-ulit nangyayari para makita nyo na, okay, this pattern really happens. Kailangan ko pa aralin. Guys, I just showed you the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. You can chart, yeah, we have a lot of stocks in the Philippines, 300, 200 plus. I-chart nyo lang yung mga favorite, Jollibee, SM, just zoom out, go all the way back to 2010, diba? Chart nyo lang. May mga Darvas box pa dito, mga falling wedge, double top, inverse head and shoulders, kaput handle. So, again, all about pattern recognition. And guys, yun nga, it's all about putting in the work and it's about understanding, not memorizing. And I hope this was able I know it's a long lesson and so I apologize for that. I just really wanted to show you guys not only the pattern, parang ito inverse head and shoulders, ito yung itsura. Pag nakita nyo, nag-breakout, bilhin nyo. Obviously, I wanted to explain the core logic behind it, the supply and demand factors behind it, not just ito pattern, bilhin nyo. I wanted to show na bakit inverse head and shoulder, bakit siya reversal pattern to the upside. Diba? Hindi lang pwede kasi porket ganyan, ganun na, diba? It's because yun na, the right shoulder is the first higher low, diba? For a potential up move. And in an uptrend stock, we need to find stocks that make higher lows and higher highs. And yun na, and I don't want to explain everything again, but yun na, the core logic behind it, I explained it, and not only did I just show patterns, I explained, saan ka pwede mag-cut, paano ulit mag-TP, parang may mga trade dissections sa'yo na pinikita sa mga trades ko dati. So hopefully, na-appreciate nyo to, and hopefully, nakatulong to sa inyo. So yun lang, at end this lesson, and without further, I wanna keep it longer na. Kita-kits na tayo susunod na lesson. If you haven't subscribed to our channels, please do to really help us a lot. We appreciate you. We love all you guys. And yun lang. Bye-bye. God bless. Ingat kayo lahat.
InvestaUniversity is an open U for you. Kaya, we made the enrollment super easy. Bilang ka lang ng 1, 2, 3. 1. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. All InvestaU videos will be uploaded here and also in InvestaLearn. 2. Like and follow our Facebook account. 3. Join our exclusive Investa group. I-search mo lang ang InvestaUniversity group in our platform. Then click Join. Read our short love letter for you and click Agree. Ngayon, estudyante ka na ng InvestaU. Ganun lang. Super dali.